Hey Lacrosse fans, welcome back to the second episode of the Sticks and Picks Lacrosse Podcast. I'm your host, Will Pechnig, alongside co-host Jake Fox. In today's episode, we talk to one of the best young stars in professional lacrosse and hear his stories about the creator's game. He talks about growing up in Six Nations, his incredible junior lacrosse career, his experience in NCAA Division I lacrosse along with his transfer process, and also his young professional and international careers. He is certainly a great ambassador to our game, and lacrosse fans will enjoy listening to him. This episode is brought to you by Lacrosse Unlimited, providing the best lacrosse equipment, lacrosse apparel, and lacrosse footwear selection since 1990. You can visit their website at lacrosseunlimited.com. He's won 2 Minto Cups and was awarded the 2015 Minto Cup MVP. He's a 2015 NCAA Division I Lacrosse Championship with Denver. He's the 7th overall pick in the 2018 National Lacrosse League Draft. He's a current player and 2019 MLL champion with the Chesapeake Bayhawks. He's a current player for the Georgia Swarm and the MSL Six Nations Chiefs. Please welcome Brendan Bomberry.
What's up, guys? Thanks for having me. Looking forward to this, and it's gonna be a lot of fun.
What's going on, Lefty? How you doing?
I'm good. Foxy, how are you, buddy?
Good. So I think we'll start with talking about Six, but right now I'm just going to give you just boost your ego. In terms of Bomber, I've known Bomber for a while, and honestly, you've easily become one of the most recognizable names in lacrosse for your age, and the influence you have on the Native American community is even larger. So let's start with talking about Six, growing up in Six, and kind of the influence of the game for you and what it's all been like.
Yeah, growing up in Six is something, it's pretty crazy. I look back on it now, and especially since this quarantine has happened, I think, our entire lives revolved around, when the next game is, who we going to watch, this, that, it's always about a lacrosse game. And I think that this whole quarantine has opened my eyes to see how special that really was. And it makes you really think about, how special it was and how much it's missed. And I think that is something that, I take a lot of pride in. And it's something that, I get this question a lot, and it's hard to explain. It's hard to put into words, and I try to do the best I can, but it's something a little bit different. I think every single day or every week, for junior, like the Rebels have Friday night, the Arrows have Sunday night, Chiefs have Tuesday night. So every single time, like whatever week, you're like, all right, Chiefs play on Tuesday, they play Peterborough, I'm going to be at that game. The Rebels play, Clarington on Friday, I'm going to be at that game. The Arrows play Orangeville on Sunday. So it's just like a week full of lacrosse that, I think the community really gets behind and supports everybody. And it's just, it's a great place to grow up and learn the game.
Talk a little bit about the Bomberry name, and like that name's just become huge in the sport, and just in general in the community. I know how big of an influence you and your family have on the Res, and obviously my brother has a little more firsthand recognition of that playing for the Arrows, and as we know, he's currently dating your sister. So
yeah.
So talk about the name of the Bomberry name on the Res.
Yeah, it's a pretty legendary name. And I think it goes back to, you think about guys like Cat Bomberry and Cam Bomberry and Corey Bomberry. I think those are the guys that are more recognized and are, who have kind of built up the game to what it is now, and they've made that name really recognizable. And I think that, for me, I definitely take pride in continuing that legacy on. I think that, like you said, it's a little more recognizable. It's a little more unique. It's not like a very common name, that's for sure. And I think that for me, my family, it started with when I was little, I'd go watch my uncles play for the Arrows, and that's what really started my love for the game. And, I was a ball boy for their teams, and always growing up, going to the rink and watching them. And, that kind of continued on to where it was my turn to play lacrosse. And then my little brothers were, the ones running around, the ball boys. And now, this year, my middle brother, Davin, it'll be his turn to start playing for the Arrows. So, the cycle just keeps going, and it's going to keep going. Because now we have, I have like my son Jagger, he's a big Arrows fan. I have three little cousins that are the same age, so it's just a continuing cycle that keeps going. It's pretty awesome, and it always keeps us connected.
One thing I want to talk about too that came to me was the name Jay Silverheel. Explain who that is to your family, and I mean, more of our older audience will know exactly who that is.
Yeah, he was a lacrosse player who turned into an actor. He was he was Tonto, and I can't remember the movie. My mom's more familiar with it than I am. I've only heard a few things about it, and it's something that it's pretty cool. And I think we one of the times we were in California, we got to see his star on the Hollywood Walk of Fame, so that was pretty cool. And that's kind of when I realized how big of a name and how big and how famous he was, and that was pretty cool to realize.
Yeah, that's definitely something pretty special to have all your family ties in the Six Nation community and how big the Bomberry name truly is. So you attended the Hill Academy, and you had quite a big decision to make for your NCAA lacrosse career, and you ended up committing to Denver. How did all that process go?
That was pretty tough for me. It was always a dream to go play for Syracuse. I think a lot of people do. My aunt or my uncle went there. Marshall Abrams was at Syracuse, so I kind of grew up wanting to go there like him and play in the Dome. And like I said, the tradition kind of continued where Sid Smith went and Cody Jamieson went, and those are the guys that I kind of looked up to. And then Randy Stotts followed, and there was always something I wanted to do. But when I was at the Hill Academy, one of my best friends, Zach Miller, we decided that wherever we were going to go, we were going to go together. So he was a year ahead of me, and he decided to go to Denver. So, we continued that where I was going to go wherever he went, but it wasn't for sure until I took the visit. And, when I went there, it was one of the most incredible places I've ever been to. I think just one of the most unique cities in the U.S. and maybe even in the world with, the mountain ranges and behind. That's something I really fell in love with. And, that's where I think as soon as I took my visit there, I was ready to commit there.
So during that time, the world and yourself were introduced to your little baby boy Jagger.
Yeah.
And that led to having a national championship, and then your decision to leave Denver and go to Syracuse. So talk about Jagger for a bit and his influence on your transfer into Syracuse.
Yeah, Jagger's awesome. He's he definitely changed my life for the better. And I think that he's made me a better person, more responsible, and kind of, really made me grow up. And I think that, like you said, he was the main reason why I decided to switch. When I went to Denver, I never realized I'd never been far from home for that long period of time. So I'm a big homebody, so that was kind of tough for me to deal with. But especially when I had Jagger, I really had to make a decision to, move closer to home. And, Syracuse wasn't that bad of a second option. So I made that decision pretty quick. And just to be able to have him, there with me at all my games, and to show him, what I had worked for and wanted to do, I was hoping that, that was going to inspire him to want to do something like that. And, hopefully he has those memories for the rest of his life. And that's something really special to me.
Let's go back to the national championship at Denver. Talk about what that night was like after winning it back at Denver. Must have been a bit of a gong show, I can imagine, winning a national championship. I've only heard stories, I didn't get that.
No, well, I didn't get to play because I was ineligible. So I didn't get to go back that same night. So what I had to do, I bought my own flight back to Toronto, picked up Jagger. We drove to Philly, and then the team won. I drove back home. The team flew right back on that Monday after the national championship. And then I got back to Denver, I think the next day, because I had to drive back home to Six Nations, fly back there first.
Damn, that's so did you get to enjoy it at all? Did you get to celebrate?
Yeah. So Denver's on the quarter system, so we were in school for another, I don't know, 2-3 weeks. So we were there the whole time. It wasn't like the whole school was there, so it was pretty wild, for a week or two there, especially with finals coming up. There wasn't much studying, that's for sure.
So you played parts of 7 junior A seasons, and you, I believe, hold the record for the most junior A games of all time. And you're also a 2014 and 2015 Minto Cup champion. What was it like playing for your hometown Six Nation Arrows?
It's that was a dream come true for me. I mean, it's a small dream. I think in terms when I was growing up, my dream was always, all right, I want to play for, Pee Wee Nationals, BAM Nationals, whatever it was. And then after that, I wanted to play for the Arrows. And that was the big thing for me, especially being around here. And I think most kids growing up that way, because when you grow up in a small town like this in Lacrosse, is you see how much energy and how much excitement it brings to the arena every night. It's something you want to be a part of. And that's something I really fell in love with. And, I really cherished my time there. It went by way, way, way too fast. And, people always ask me, if there's a time in my life where I could go back and redo things. Not that I would redo them, but I would go back and definitely relive those junior days. And those are some of the best days of my life. And, I cherish those friendships and those teammates that I made for the rest of my life, especially those championships. It's something that, you know, especially this quarantine, I never really got a chance to go back and watch some of the film and how it happened. I kind of I wanted to just remember it and not look back. But, during this quarantine and some of this quiet time that I've had, I've looked back at some of them and, I still get goosebumps just thinking about it or talking about it and watching it. So you definitely remember those, and those guys on my team, that I was with, I'm still, connected with them in some way or another. And we always keep in touch. We always see each other. So that's, they always say like you win together and you walk together for the rest of your life. That's definitely true for me.
Yeah, you eliminated me from both those playoffs. Thanks a lot for that, bud. Talk about basically, 6 being kind of the way it is. Talk about how the Minto was perceived there, because it had been roughly 7 or 8 years since 6 had won a Minto. The last time they had won it was with Cody and Sean Evans and all that. So talk about how important that first Minto was, and then the back-to-back segment there.
Yeah, it was for a long time there. I think from right when I got there, I think my first year was 2010. We really had a great team, and all these we would go to. I think every year we made it to the Eastern Final, and we were always just knocking the door. We always had a really good team, but we always got, we lose in Game 7 to Whitby or Orangeville in the Eastern or in the final. So those were always heartbreaking. I think once we finally broke through, that's what made it so much sweeter. We worked so hard, a lot of the core guys that were there, and everybody worked so hard to get there. And I think that, especially in 2014, it was just it was a relief, and I think that we were on a mission and we knew what we wanted to do, and we know we had to do it. And in 2014, we fell behind 2-0 to Coquitlam Adanacs out west, and that's when it was back to 7-game series, and it was pretty wild how we had. I want to say I guess thinking back to when you're playing, whenever a native team comes out west, there's a huge following that from those western native communities. We had these crazy drums. That's one of the things I remember being so loud in there, because these drums are just banging the entire game, and that's something really special and I hold close to my heart. Just having that support from those people and something so cool. And like I said, to come back to nothing from the Coquitlam Adanacs, who had a great team with like Westberg and Tyler Pace and Christian Del Bianco and those guys, was a unreal feeling to win that one. And that was obviously our first one, and a lot of the core guys returned the next year. But the next year was a little bit different because it was the first time we had ever, hosted the Minto at home. So for 6 games, we were playing Coquitlam again. Basically, they're the same team, and it was a packed barn. We had our fans there the entire time, and it was one of the most surreal experiences I've ever had in my life. That's for sure.
All right, I'm going to come at you a little bit here. I want to talk about the Peterborough Six Nations Junior Series. When your last, I believe that was 15, where we played in the Ontario finals. And one game where you guys had to play in this certain type of jerseys because something was forgot. You want to talk about that?
Yeah, so our equipment manager, he forgot the jerseys. So we're in like the, I don't know, semifinals, whatever it is, and it's a pretty big deal. and we were playing in Peterborough, and we did forget the jerseys. So like we're like scrambling, didn't know what to do, and then they came up to us, so we had to wear the Peterborough Lakers Senior A shorts with these yellow practice OHL jerseys. And it was one of the most embarrassing things I've ever been a part of, but it was also so cool because we kind of got through that and played. And I like to joke because I finally got to play a game in the OHL, I'd always say, because it was a big OHL jersey. So, and I was always a big hockey guy, so that was pretty cool. It's pretty cool looking back on it now, embarrassing then, but it's a pretty cool story now, that's for sure.
It was always funny seeing Dougie Jameson was wearing like I think our 4-string goalie jersey for the senior Lakers. We just threw him the worst jersey we could find. We did whatever we could, man.
Oh my God, yeah, that was a joke.
Whatever we could do to get you out of those damn black jerseys. You guys did not lose with those jerseys. It was a pain in the ass.
Yeah, that started in 2014 until we went down 2-0, and then we came back the third game and we won the black jerseys, and then from then on we wore the black jerseys every single time. We won 4 straight, so that's where that started.
So we're gonna have a little bit of fun with you here right now. We're gonna do one of our segments called This or That. So basically Jake's gonna give you 2 different options, and you got to pick one without any reasoning why, as quick as you can.
All right, sounds good.
Ready to go, Bomber?
Yep.
All right, I'm curious. There's some of these that are toss-ups for you, and some of these where you're going to be like, oh, shit. So here we go. All right, ready, and here we go. Score a goal or assist a game winner?
Assist a game winner.
The 2014 Minto or 2015 Minto?
2015.
NLL championship or Man Cup?
Ooh. I'm going to say MLL championship or NLL championship.
NCAA championship or MLL championship?
NCAA championship.
Box or field lacrosse?
Box.
Denver or Syracuse?
You would. We'll go with Syracuse.
Yeah, I figure. Hunting or fishing?
Fishing.
Pool day or beach day?
Beach day.
Instagram or Twitter?
Twitter right now.
Yeah, figured. Trucks or sports cars?
Trucks.
Steak or chicken?
Steak.
NHL 20 or Madden 20?
NHL 20.
All right, last one. Carrier Dome or the ILA?
That's a tough one too. I'm going to have to go with the Dome.
Really? That actually kind of surprised me. I thought for sure you'd go with the ILA there.
Yeah, I got the Dome tattooed on my arm, so I got to go with Dome.
That's fair enough.
So you're a current National Lacrosse League player for the Georgia Swarm, and also with your hometown Six Nations Chiefs. What was it like on draft day back in 2018 when you were selected 7th overall by the Swarm?
That was like I said before, the dream come true. Like I said, there's always those segments where, after junior, all right, then it's college, and then your next dream is to play professional. So, I wasn't really expecting to be drafted by Georgia Swarm. There's one of the teams I did not talk to going in the draft. So I was really surprised, but to go to a team with, so many guys that I had played with before was something so comforting. And, not a lot of rookies get to do that, go into a team where they really feel comfortable. I remember from day one, I felt extremely comfortable. I had guys that I'd played with, guys that coached me, or just guys I knew before. So that really helped me go into my first year, and that's what made it so special for me. And I think that, having my family there as well, and I had a lot of friends in that draft as well. So that was really cool to experience all that with them. And, it's something that, I really cherish as well.
You've had a pretty I've seen it firsthand, but you and Lyle seem to have a really cool connection, Lyle Thompson. And basically now every single team you play on, you're playing with Lyle. I can imagine when you got drafted there, he's one of those guys that kind of took you under his wing. So talk about playing with Lyle and talk about the kind of guy Lyle is, because a lot of people don't understand how actually outgoing and funny and how much of I would say, and like he's kind of an antic guy almost. Once you get to know him, but the perception he gets is just a quiet kind of self guy. So talk a little bit about Lyle.
Yeah, obviously playing with the best player in the world is something that you really take advantage of and try and learn as much as you can. So I would say about Lyle, I think we spend a lot of time together. Most of it, I would say, is traveling. So we are in the car, plane, train, Uber, anything. We're with each other for all year round, I think. And I think for most of our conversation, I look back on it, we don't talk about a lot of lacrosse. It's a lot of like, he's a pretty deep thinker. So we think about, we talk about like workouts in the world and different things. And like you said, like he's a person that's really funny. Not a lot of people will know that about him. Like he's like, you just see him on like social media or whatever, and he's always, so serious and always so conscious, I guess, and talking like he's just a very smart person. But not a lot of people see how like goofy he is and how funny he is. The amount of laughs I think that we've had is pretty crazy, and the amount of things he does, some pretty crazy things that are, not a lot of people expect of him. And I think that he's just a really fun, outgoing guy, and I think a lot of people would definitely really like that about him.
I agree. I have a video on my phone of him having a floss dance off with Chase Scanlon in Israel.
Yeah, I mean, he does some pretty crazy things. He's just a really fun and outgoing guy, especially when he's comfortable. When he's not, he's a little more quiet and reserved. But once you get him out of his comfort zone, he don't shut up. That's for sure.
All right, let's go back to you. Let's talk about you and your first NLL game. Tell me about that experience for you. How it came. Nervous. Give us a little story about that game.
Yeah, first NLL game, I was pretty nervous. That's for sure. I think, being a rookie, you don't really know what to expect. But I think you don't really feel comfortable until it's the first couple shifts in. I'm trying to think who my even first game was. I don't even remember. I think it was Rochester. So that was pretty cool. So that's close to home and for my family to get to. So that made me a lot more comfortable. And it's definitely nerve-wracking, I'd say. But leading up to it, you spend so much time preparing that once it gets going, that kind of takes over. So like I said before, I have my teammates are awesome. They're the guys that really care about each other. So, they do whatever they can to kind of help me get through things. And that's still the same today. I'm still learning. I'm only in my second year, and I'm still learning new things every day, especially playing defense. That's something that was new to me. So I really kind of took the time to kind of learn that and really pay attention to those things and different types of people are doing, and really listen to people or things people were telling me and help me with.
Talk about that transition for you, because like you said, growing up and every time I played against you, you were always playing offense. And it wasn't really till you started playing with the Chiefs where you have a stacked offensive lineup like they do, and then you go to Georgia where they kind of say, like, if you want a spot and you want the playing time, you kind of have to turn into that transition role. Talk about that, how that came about, and how you become a very good and top end transition player in the league now. So talk about that.
Yeah, I think that's something that I kind of took to heart. I knew that if I wanted to play and make a difference, that's just the kind of person I am. I don't really care that much about the goals or who scores or whatever. I just want to play. And that was a big thing for me. So going after my junior year to our junior with the Arrows, I went to the Chiefs, and like you said, they had a stacked lineup. And for me, I just wanted to play. So I was going to do whatever I had to do to get on the floor to be effective and help my team win. And that was playing defense. So I really took that to heart. And, I had a great team, a bunch of teammates to help me, like you said, our offensive stack, but so is defense. I had like Brody and Dan Coates and all these guys that are unbelievable defenders that really took me under the wing as well and kind of helped me. So that's something I really draw upon when I'm, if I'm down, trying to think back to what they taught me and things about that. And it's the same thing in Georgia. I do the same thing. Whatever my team needs me to do to help them win, that's what I'm going to do. Whether that's scoring goals, playing defense, I'd even step in goal if I had to. That's really what it comes down to for me is, just trying to help my team win any way I can.
So you went on to, you're also actually, major league lacrosse player for the Chesapeake Bayhawks, and you actually won the 2019 championship. Can you kind of go through like what the field professional game's like compared to the box professional game?
Yeah, it's definitely a little different. I think that I don't want to say that it's not as put together as NLL or as professional, but it definitely is a little bit different. I think that, it takes a little bit of time for.
I was going to say, Bomber, you could
things.
also just say that, the NLL has been around for a lot longer.
Yeah, I guess it has been. So it's a lot more put together. And I think that, the MLL is still growing, especially playing in a year where the PLL had just started. So there was all this buzz around the PLL. And I feel like being in the MLL, you were kind of looked upon as like, not good enough is what we kind of felt. But in our locker room, we kind of felt like we were a team that could compete with anybody in the PLL. And I think we really could have. And, we had a great group of guys that were a lot of characters and a really tight team. So I think in my first 2 years of professional lacrosse, I've been really blessed with teammates that really care about each other. And you don't really find that too often, I feel like, especially in leagues where you're not together as much. So, you'd fly in on a Friday morning and you'd have a practice Friday night and then a game Saturday. So it was a little more different in the NLL because in the NLL, you don't really, they're more shoot arounds, I guess, but in MLL we'd practice. I guess it was just our coach. I think talking to guys around different teams in the league that they didn't really practice much, but we did. And I think that was really helpful for us. And I think it really led to, our success and made us, be the team that we were and eventually MLL championships. So that was really cool.
Yeah, you guys definitely had a stacked team when you look at it in terms of, yourself, who had become a star in the league and ended up having this first all-star. Guys like Lyle, Steel Stanwyck.
Yeah.
And then a guy like Andrew Q, who kind of burst on the scene and scoring that big goal in the championship. When you say your team could go up against the PLL, I was really hoping to see that PLL Whip Snakes versus MLL Bayhawks game.
I know.
What's kind of your thought about that? Because obviously they're a great team. It's a very Maryland influence, but was that something you were hoping would kind of happen?
Yeah, for sure. Especially like I said, like people were looking at the MLL as if you're the B League and not good enough. But in turn, and they would say that the PLL had the best players in the world, which I don't think is true, especially when you have Lyle Thompson on your team, who is the best player in the world, in my opinion. So it's not really fair to say that. But, I definitely really wanted something like that to happen just so we could show the world that, just because we're not in the PLL, we're not flaunting ourselves all over Instagram and all that kind of thing and making these videos, doesn't mean we're not a good lacrosse team or players. So that's the way we looked at it.
I couldn't agree more. Talk a little bit about winning the championship, what that night was like. Well, you guys got to, I'm assuming, a little celebratory party. So talk about what that was like and compare it to some other championships you won, because it's honestly completely different than you won just about everything.
Yeah.
So
yeah,
talk about that.
This one's a little different. I think that, so we played on a Sunday at 11 a.m. in Denver. So we played and a lot of people had flights right after. So we were just basically in the locker room doing our celly, like champagne showers, whatever. And then it was just straight to the airport and that was it. So it definitely is a crazy story. Definitely would have liked to have more fun with my teammates, but that's just the way it was, and that's the business we were in, and we got the job done. But that's all that really mattered.
All right, Bomber. So as you know, we have a lot of mutual friends, having known each other since high school. I was told by a certain someone who will remain unnamed that you are a terrible Uno player.
Who said that, Hayden?
Like I said, I'm not revealing my sources, but you want to.
Kennedy.
Is that true? Are you mediocre at Uno?
I'm not mediocre at any. I just take it very seriously. All board games we've been playing during this, I get pretty fired up. We play Monopoly, play Uno, Mexican Trains. I get pretty fired up. So I wouldn't say I'm terrible, but I definitely get heated and I keep the competitiveness going. That's for sure.
Yeah, and it was Hayden, by the way, so you can talk to him about that. Also, anyone who sees your social media knows you as Lefty Bombs.
Mm-hmm.
Can you tell us how you got the nickname Lefty?
Yeah. So when we were in grade 9 at the Hill Academy, so we used to, after hockey practice, it was like on lunch break or whatever, we would get our gloves and our helmet on, and we would locker box. So one day I was fighting as Nick Ritchie, and we were fighting, and I don't know, I just threw a left-hand punch, and I guess it kind of knocked him down, stunned him. And ever since then, he called me Lefty Bombs. And right from high school, it's kind of stuck. It never really stuck around that much until I got to Syracuse, because Tyson was also at Syracuse, and before that, I was just known as Bomber. But then when I got to Syracuse, everyone called me Lefty, so that really stuck there. And the funny part about that story is Richie got the last laugh because when we were in minor midget, he knocked my teeth out.
I forgot you have the fake jibs, eh?
Yeah, all the 4 front ones are fake.
Well, you know what? On the bright side, you could say you knocked out an NHL player.
Yeah,
So.
I know. They made my teeth look better anyway.
A little more straight, eh?
Yeah.
All right, so we're gonna have a little bit more fun here. We did some Twitter creeping on you, read some tweets, and we're gonna try to get an explanation from you here. So, back on April 10th, 2017, you tweeted, "Sometimes I go to the mall just to use the massage chairs in Brookstone."
Yeah, I mean, you can't complain about a free massage, right? I think that's one thing that me and Lyle do too, is we're on our trips, and we'll find a mall and we'll just go grab some Dippin' Dots, and we'll find a massage chair, and we'll sit there, eat Dippin' Dots, and sit in the massage chair. Can't complain about a free massage.
Is that the key to health? Just don't pay for your actual massages. Just go and get free ones everywhere.
Exactly.
Oh, that's great. And
But,
what were you gonna say there?
Well, now it's tough now because Brookstone closed down. They're closed down everywhere, so you got to pay for those ones that are sitting around the mall.
Oh, yeah, it's tough now. We got one more tweet here for you. It's from
right.
May 1st, 2017. You tweeted, "Trying to write a 10-page paper knowing I have friends that are getting paid millions to try and win a Stanley Cup right now is demoralizing."
Yeah, that's a tough one to swallow. You know, when you're sitting at school watching the Stanley Cup playoffs and you got friends that you played with making, 10 sheets a year to score goals and win a Stanley Cup is pretty tough pill to swallow when you're right there with them.
You even played what's it called, junior with Brandon Montour. I remember playing against him, and now I believe he was with Buffalo. Is he with Buffalo now? Or?
Yeah, he's with the Sabres right now.
So that must be nice. That's your team too, eh?
Yeah, that's my team. It's pretty cool to have him there. So, those are things I look forward to, is watching, my friends compete against each other in the NHL. But like I said, sometimes it sucks when you're right there with them, and especially when they're making that kind of money.
So I kind of want to get into talking to Iroquois Nationals with you.
Yep.
We were both, you more than me, but I was fortunate enough to get to play in one in Israel at the World Championship, and you've been playing for Iroquois teams basically since Pee Wee Lacrosse. So talk to me the significance of this and just really how important it is. It's really different, I would say, than playing for like a Canadian team or a U.S. team. So kind of give people that background of the true meaning of it and what your thoughts are and how we're perceived, because honestly, Israel is a huge step forward, I think, for us. So
yeah, it's an unbelievable feeling. I think for Native people, I think that we're a lot smaller than the rest of the country, so we really, and lacrosse is our game, so we really take it to heart with everything that we do, especially playing at the world stage. And that's something that not a lot of people get to say, and there's quite a few of us that have gotten that opportunity, and that's something that we hold close to our heart. But for us, it's more using our passports, that to travel on those passports is something that takes precedence for us, because once we are able to get into a country, that means that country has to let our people in, and we're able to travel on those passports, and it allows us to not have to identify as Canadian or American. We're the Haudenosaunee people, and that's something that is the front and center for us when we go and represent at those games. And I think to show the world that we are still here, and we're still thriving, and this is our game, and this is what we do.
Talk a little bit about our travel issues going to Israel. So obviously, I'm of Métis descent, so I don't travel on a Haudenosaunee passport. I was luckily one of 2 or 3 guys selected who don't have to travel on a passport, which is a rule that the Iroquois allow, which is unbelievable, honestly. But talk about kind of what we had to do, because it's ridiculous, honestly.
Yeah, so like I said, going through those with the passports, it's always a gong show when you're traveling. I think that travel days are really long. You're waiting for, visas and this and that, and some president to call this president, some leader call this leader, just to let us go or jump on a flight. I think that, like you said, we're to Israel. We were delayed for like 3 or 4 days before we were actually allowed to go, and that wasn't even my worst travel with the Iroquois Nationals. My first one, we went to Finland. It was supposed to be like a 16-hour travel. It ended up taking us 36 hours. So we bussed from Six Nations to Montreal, flew to Switzerland so we can get in, flew to Germany, and then to Finland. Once we finally got to Finland, we had another 4-hour bus ride. So from when I left my house to when I got to my hotel, it was 36 hours of travel.
Just to give people some insight on at least our Israel trip. So the Israeli government is obviously very protective of who they allow into their country. They have like 8 different pit stops of security you have to go through.
Yeah.
And when we originally got there, we sat in the airport for 5 hours?
Something ridiculous like that, yeah.
So until they eventually said we can't accept these passports. Obviously, the Prime Minister of Canada and the President of the United States jumped in and helped us. But once they did let us in, we had to go through like 3 extra rounds of security. Our flight was delayed by 5 hours because they had to individually search every single one of our bags.
Yeah.
And
I think we had Robert Kraft help us out too, I'm pretty sure. The Patriots owner.
Yeah, I'm pretty sure I heard at one point that if we couldn't get over, Kraft was going to send his a plane for us.
Yeah, I heard that too.
So, I mean, it's incredible. And then when we got there, obviously, the reception we got was amazing, if you want to talk about that.
Oh, yeah, walking into, a crowd of people who, I think that it was known by everybody that we were having issues. So once they knew we were finally on a flight and we were going to be there, they had a pretty large gathering for us when we got there with, like, pictures. Obviously, everyone wanted to see the Thompsons and that kind of thing. And, kind of get a video of everybody coming in and finally making, especially because the 2 years before, or the 2 tournaments before, we weren't allowed in England. So that was a kind of a big deal that we were able to travel across the sea to that.
And this tournament was supposed to originally be in England, and they switched it because they thought this wouldn't be an issue.
Yeah, you're right. I forgot about that too.
So, yeah, I mean, obviously, it's incredible. And now the whole thing now is Iroquois going to be allowed to play in the Olympics? So what's kind of your thought process on that?
I'm kind of hoping it will. I think when I take a deeper look at it, we have to be, if we really want to be a sovereign nation and we want to be able to compete under that, we have to be that in all realms. We can't just be that in lacrosse. It has to be all around. And I think that's one thing that it's going to take if we want to. Obviously, that's something that I don't think will ever happen, but that's the way it would be, I would think, if we wanted to do it. But I think, hopefully there's an instance where we're allowed to play, under the Olympic flag or whatever, and then and hold, whatever they allow, and hopefully we can get in there and do something about that.
Yeah, for sure. That would be a huge step forward, not only for the game of lacrosse, but I think just life by itself. So we're going to go into another little segment here. We call it the play until the whistle segment. It's about referees in lacrosse and kind of talking about who your favorite referee is and why.
I got a couple worse referees, the guys I don't like, if we want to get into that one.
What do you mean? You get it? You love referees. You and referees get along so well, Bomber.
Yeah, I think I'm probably one of the more hated players in the game by referees, but I think there's, since junior I was bad, but after that I kind of, grew up a little bit, and you kind of respect what they do, especially because my brother became a referee, so I kind of had to see what he had to deal with. So, I had a different perspective of what they were seeing. So, there's a couple guys I like. I really get along with, Roger Nurse, Hiltzy, Fergie, Garrison, those kind of guys. I'm sure they didn't like me in junior, and I didn't like them in junior, but now I have a new perspective, and I kind of see, how important they are to the game, especially when they had that big thing with the walkout, and it really made you sit back and realize how, we need those guys, and it's a thankless job. They make a call, someone's not going to like it and someone is, and that's the way it's always going to be. And, I think they do a great job of what they do. That's for sure.
Yeah. Do you think there's anything as a player or coaches that we could do to kind of make it a little bit easier on the officials during games, or something that the officials could kind of help themselves out by doing?
Yeah, I think everybody just needs to stay calm. I think that's when most things happen. Even if you don't like the call, they can explain why they did it. And I think that, from my experience, my coach in Georgia, Eddie Como, he always is very calm with the referees. And even if you don't like a call, he'll ask them why. And if they give him an explanation, he stops and he understands. And that's the way it goes. And he knows that, yelling at them is not going to do anything. And I think that we've all learned that at some point in our careers. And, just being calm and trying to understand where they're coming from. And because everybody sees things a little bit different, and we have to kind of respect that and be okay with that. And, I think the more we do that, the better we will be.
Yeah, exactly. I think remaining calm and just kind of trying to having perspective from the officials and what they're trying to call, I think is a good thing for the key to having a good game and trying to help out the officiating crews. We're going to end on some lacrosse stories. If you wanted to share some funny moments throughout your career or any hilarious stories that you have.
I know you got a couple Dougie Jameson ones up your sleeve here.
Dougie Jameson ones. I don't know. I'm not good at thinking things on the spot. Dougie Jameson ones. I don't know if I do.
No, that's all right, man. We're just trying to, see what popped in your head, man. It's all for fun, man. So if you can't think of one, no worries.
Yeah, I don't think I'm not good at thinking things on the spot. I bet you in like 5 hours, I'll have about 50 come to my mind. I know that for sure. That's how it always works with me.
That sounds like another episode we'll have to do at some point.
Yeah, maybe let me jot down some stories, and I'll come back another time, and we can get down to those.
Perfect. Well, we really appreciate you coming on and spending some time with us, and I'm sure the fans are going to be really excited to kind of hear your background from being from Six Nations and kind of all your lacrosse history and how successful you've turned in to a player today. And it's amazing what you do, and you're a very good ambassador of the sport, and we appreciate everything you do for it.
Yeah, thank you guys for having me. It's been awesome. And anytime you guys want, I'll come back on. It's a lot of fun for sure.
Thanks, Lefty. Appreciate it, buddy.
Yeah. See you guys.
That wraps up our interview with Brendan Bomberry. His passion for the game of lacrosse and love for his son Jagger is what drives his success and what will continue for many years to come. Shout out to Kobe Johnson for guessing who our guest was in our social media Guess the Guest contest. Another thank you to Lacrosse Unlimited for sponsoring today's episode. Make sure you check out their website at lacrosseunlimited.com for all your lacrosse needs. Stay tuned to our social media pages on Instagram and Twitter at SticksPicsLax and on Facebook at Sticks and Picks Lacrosse for more lacrosse content. Another Play Until the Whistle segment will be released this Saturday, and our next podcast is full of great stories with a player who had a long and successful professional lacrosse career. That episode will be released next Tuesday. Thanks for listening to our podcast, and we hope you enjoyed.